Hi, my name is Kevin Weiss, and today I'd like to give you some background on how Medtronic has partnered with RHONDOS with the Power Connect system on top of Splunk to monitor different areas in SAP in the Medtronic environment. Basically, we have about a 2-year amount of experience using Power Connect, and we've got over 100 Power Connect users. Also, we've got a fairly large system that we've been going after. There's 600 gigabytes of daily ingestion, and it's a big landscape. We actually have got 14 different SAP systems that we monitor. So at Medtronic, we really take two approaches to tackling all of our monitoring needs. One is more of a technical approach, the other is more of a business approach. Out of the box, of course, Power Connect comes with over 600 dashboards. Now, most of those are nice because they're SAP specific, and we can tailor those dashboards to generally most of the technical environments. We can go from a systems look at it, disk space, CPU, high T code use per day, those types of things. But often what you really want to know is, how is the weather? Weather typically would be something more along the lines of how is the SAP landscape operating for that end user? So the end user, they might be in a specific location like New Jersey or Minnesota or Tennessee, but there might be some painful things on the SAP side. Is there end user latency? Is there some button click delay? Can we use some of our business dashboards to look into printer delay? And that's really the distinction between the two business environments. Presently, we're working with all of the 600 dashboards. We do tend to take a lot of those dashboards, tailor it to a Medtronic need when we do have a technical need to look into. And often we do have customers in certain world areas. By tailoring down to 58 different business dashboards, you'll see in the next 3 user examples, I've got some interesting use cases. Most of those use cases are going to be really along the lines of the 58 Medtronic business dashboards we've created. So we've all used the SAP dialog to end up filtering down quite a bit of the SAP detailed reporting. Often we'll take that and take a snapshot in time, we'll put it in Excel. Eventually, the Excel data kind of gets old. And if we've learned one thing, typically if we take that Excel data and we go up to an end customer use case, by the time they have taken a look at the data, it might be too old for their needs. So typically what we end up doing is using an Excel file as one of points of generating a proof of concept. In this example, you can see how we water flow from SAP reporting to the Excel file. From there, I will work with a business end user. We'll create a Visio document or some other type of document that basically summarizes what they'd like to see in a dashboard. And then after that, I can end up using a CSV file to verify kind of what the customer would like to see in an end use case dashboard. So here's a great customer use case at one of our United States Memphis distribution centers. Visibility in SAP of how orders are going from a undelivered state to a final delivery on the truck was actually something that was quite difficult. We needed a dashboard that could showcase where those orders were in the system and if they have been picked, if they've been packed, and if they finally have made it on the truck. One of the biggest reasons it's important for that is we've got many of those orders that have got custom SAP exceptions written into the SAP software, so it's extremely important for us to either add or combine orders in a certain way at a distribution center. Another way that it's really important is we are a worldwide medical device manufacturing company. Most of those orders are critical and can be life critical for saving someone, and it's important that those orders get out on a day-by-day basis and we don't end up having a reputation of shipping on late deliveries. So we're moving forward with greater delivery times and more on-time orders. Plus, of course, the obvious, thousands of orders a day shipping out of a distribution center is quite a lot. So having an additional dashboard to rebalance labor inside of large facilities has been really advantageous, and we've been able to take advantage of shifting labor from one location to another. At Medtronic, most of our U.S. distribution centers have got a 5-step process that's required before that carton ends up on the shipping truck. So what we like to do is really keep track of that and adjust the daily labor that's being used in different areas of the facility. If you've got more than a very large number of dock doors that have product being shipped out, you really do need to concentrate on where the orders need to be shipped and getting them out the door on the correct truck for obvious reasons. If we have a backup, it may be necessary by our managers on site to actually flex the labor into a desired location. One of the great ways of doing this is with a Splunk Power Connect dashboard. As you can see here, I've actually got a representation of the facility, and there's some representation of each step in the process. At the beginning, you'll see if we have not created a delivery ticket yet, we can see really how many open orders we really need to fill. From there, we can end up creating some tickets. We can place those tickets into the warehouse and get an understanding of how many orders are open to pick on that day. After those orders have been picked, of course, we still need to pack that order. Once it's packed, we can get it on the truck. If we happen to have a bottleneck in one area or another, obviously it's possible to look into SAP. However, it's not very easy. So by having a really nice diagram, a visual on the floor, it's easy for labor on the floor and management to come together and really see how can we make sure any of those life-critical orders get out the door. In addition to distribution centers, one area that Power Connect has been extremely helpful is in our manufacturing facilities. We've got a Montreal facility that's showcasing a new dashboard that we completed for earlier in the summer. They're able to actually save a lot of time and efficiency by not using a standard SAP interface and go straight to a Splunk dashboard that's leveraging Power Connect options so that we can put the correct filters on the correct SAP data and get a real-time understanding of where that manufacturing facility is in an hour-by-hour format. The old way was for a person to manually enter in a dialog location in SAP and constantly do a refresh. Well, we can see how inefficient that is, because doing a refresh in a day-by-day, hour-by-hour, minute-by-minute format in SAP, not only is it long and inefficient, and it's a lot of data entry, it's not automated. And so Power Connect gives us a great ability to have real-time data for our manufacturing sites. This is a great story because this is a use case where we didn't even know our manufacturing site was struggling with so much inefficient labor going back into SAP. So what had happened was business managers had come to our monitoring group with a real simple .csv input lookup file. This is a nice example because it's going to show in a very short period of time, we can create a proof of concept in our monitoring team with super simple .csv data, and then we can transform that data into a proof of concept dashboard leveraging real SAP data, and then from there move into a day-by-day success story so that management can see hour by hour, minute by minute, how many orders are in their manufacturing pipeline. They can look at the scrap in the pipeline, they can see status, and often they really want to get a feel for how each manufacturing station or SSC is inside their facility. So let's take a look. After creating a proof of concept with a .csv Excel file, I was able to transfer that proof of concept over to the Montreal engineers at that facility. And look at what I got. I got a great story where immediately I had responsive feedback. The customer, they knew they wanted it. And this is some actual response from one of my contacts at that facility. I like a kid. I saw the toy dashboard. Now I want it. Today, this is done manually and all day long. Very early on in the discussions, it was really apparent how much wasted labor was being done in the SAP system that wasn't providing any decent value once it got down to the manufacturing floor because the data was old and not in real-time format. So I really couldn't believe how quickly we were able to get the Montreal facility up and running. Here's a great example of how we ended up transforming the proof of concept into one of our final operational status dashboards. This is a great place because Power Connect data was leveraged. We're able to filter with the appropriate filters, and it highlights how one particular manager who is more interested in scrap and another manager who's more interested to see how many assemblies are being built at each station is able to quickly change the status. So it's a big deal. And the other biggest part of this was a customer requirement was we need this done in as close to real time as possible. Well, you can obviously tell if management is up in an office area and they need to get down to the floor, by the time they're there, the data is old. This is actually real-time data that's live, as close to real-time as we can make, and it meets the needs for our final customer. One other great feature is that with real-time data, managers can look down and see, are we meeting our targets for the day for this particular product and for this particular area of the manufacturing floor? What we see in front of us is an example where we're meeting our targets, we're meeting our total units, but how are we doing as compared to the overall? Sometimes we're behind, sometimes we're ahead, and having a color indicator of knowing are you behind or ahead with the particular total that you have for the day can be handy to make sure that you don't have a bottleneck. So here's my last customer success story. Not only in our United States distribution centers have we had some nice successes, but we do have our European counterparts. They actually end up using SAP quite a bit differently than our US distribution centers. And there's also a lot of customization due to European needs, additional regulations, and things that are customized into their SAP environment that need to be leveraged. So as you can see here, I've got a nice facility. It's quite large, several hundred dock doors, and also it's 2 facilities currently with a third on the way. Having a third facility means that the next dashboard I create for them needs to be scalable. Early on in the development process, we were using standard classic dashboards. It soon became recognized that with the number of boxes and number of orders being processed in our EMEA facility, we were going to need a larger amount of content on our dashboard. By doing this, I went over and began using the newer Dashboard Studio. Dashboard Studio was really nice to work with, and this was actually the first time with my experience, I'd had enough experience in the older classic dashboard, and then moving into Dashboard Studio, I was able to pick up fairly quickly going from the XML to the JSON format. It's great for me because in this example, on just the first row alone, you can see not only is the size of the numerals important for the customer, they're able to see there's a lot more content in a nice, tidier package. This particular facility also had a lot more filters needed due to the European environment. So in summary, Medtronic has been a successful user of Power Connect, but what were the real principles? And the end user success stories really come about because of 3 concentrated areas. First one, whenever we began a project that required a series of dashboards, we did make sure that we had some sort of a SAP technical resource and a functional resource to aid in our development of the dashboards. It made it a lot easier when talking about the data so that everyone was on the same page. Another good thing to do is just a recommendation on our part is have that weekly huddle, and that way you can push the project along and chip away and make sure that it comes to fruition. And that way, nobody within the team is going to feel as though there's a stall in the project, and you're going to make sure that you can meet some typical sprint type guidelines along the way. The last one, I can't stress how important RHONDOS has been with assisting us with our Power Connect dashboards. They've been wonderful to partner with, and it's just really made the whole process go along that much more smoothly. The experts in their office have always been super professional and able to handle all of our questions in a super timely manner.